welcome to another episode of Reptile Fight Club.
Do it! And I am your over-caffeinated co-host, Chuck Poland. How you doing, everybody? Ooh. Hey.
Squirrel.
Oh, yeah. No, we got a flock of squirrels. It's crazy. It's wild. They're all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
All right. Over-caffeinated, ready to rock.
Yeah, too much covfefe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is cold here. It was up in the 80s last week, and then it dipped. Oh, man, I got a new incubator, and it kicks on. I hope that's not too overwhelmingly loud. But anyway, yeah, it dipped down in the highs are 40, so it's rough.
40?
Yeah.
My goodness.
We're down below freezing at night, so that's kind of a little rough.
The high of 40? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That just doesn't sound very global warming right now.
Not so much.
Yeah, that's global.
That proves it. It's not real.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
I wish that were true.
I wish that were true.
It's true.
Yeah. No, it's a little. I feel like it's going to rain here. My coastals are out. Just that they're going bonkers, dude. They're cruising all around, just like they think it's a party. I don't know, low pressure system party.
Nice. Yeah, it's always good.
Yep. So they're doing their thing. Not bad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got snowed on last week. Went to Yellowstone, me and Heidi and a couple of my cousins, and went to look for wildlife and just see some of the park and stuff. But yeah, it snowed on us Thursday night and Friday morning. It was pretty snowy as well, and
nice.
Yeah, it was crazy. But it was kind of cool because the snow all melted off by like noon, so we got to experience like every season. It was pretty cool.
I didn't see a YouTube video of you getting your pants torn off by a bison, so that's good.
Oh, I grabbed everybody's phones that was filming it and made
nice. That is super smart. Yeah.
See, that's
grizzly bear wrestling.
Oh, we got pretty close.
Yeah.
There was a grizzly bear that was really close. We saw two fairly, like probably within the safe zone. Like we probably should have been further from them, but
I feel like in our previous episodes that we were messing with Mac and Wookie too much, and I might like if there was a story about how the good doctor is mauled by a grizzly, I would have felt responsible because messing with Mac and Wookie emboldened you into getting too close to the grizzly, and you were mauled in a fit of confidence,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, I do respect the Mac and Wookie. I do respect the large predators. That's one kind of thing I was thinking about. Like, people in Australia don't have to worry about large mammalian predators when they're out, herping and stuff.
No, they got to worry about like
back in my mind.
Yeah, large saltwater crocodiles and
that's true.
Large sharks.
They do have the aquatic predators that can take them out, but yeah. As long as they're sticking to land, they're probably pretty safe unless they get bit by something.
Yeah.
Spicy.
Like a gigantic spider or,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe not die, but that would be horrible.
Yeah, there's some pretty intimidating spiders over there. But, they don't really do anything, but they just look big and impressive.
Die of a heart attack.
Yep. And a lot of the web weavers, like, for some reason, have their webs, like, right at face level for a 6-foot man.
Yeah.
So I was almost walking in. I've never hit one like face on, full spider web with spider in the middle. So I guess that's good, but that wouldn't be enjoyable necessarily.
No,
I guess they probably wouldn't kill you or anything, but you might. It wouldn't feel so great, but
yeah, no, not at all.
But it was really cool. We saw like 6 grizzlies and 8 black bears and a bunch of, a few wolves. I think maybe 5 or 6 wolves.
Yeah, you got your fill.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
It was
Predator Central, man. We saw a ton of stuff. It was really cool because the only bear I'd seen, I hadn't seen any wolves, but the only bear I'd seen was that one in Texas, West Texas, a couple of years ago with the guys out herping West Texas. So it was kind of cool to add to that count and, blow it out of the water. So, and seeing a grizzly, that was the first time I'd seen a grizzly bear in the wild, and man, they are impressive animals. They're really cool.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
we got pretty close to one. And we were kind of on the road by a line of cars. I guess my plan was just jump on top of a car or something, get away from it if it started coming at us or something. But, it was kind of funny because there were a couple rangers and they're like, all right, remember to keep your distance if it starts coming this way. And then like, okay, we're out. It was like quitting time or something. So they were out of there. Took off. Both of them. So,
listen,
leave the tourists to their own devices around bears. And,
bears got to eat, man.
The smartest things in Yellowstone. But yeah, it was cool. It just kind of hung out in this field and just sat and grazed. Like it was eating grass and digging in the dirt and getting grubs and worms and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool to watch. I got some video and some decent photos. So yeah, good stuff.
Nice.
Yep. Made me itch to go out herping because there weren't any herps active out there.
Yeah.
Although we did hear some frogs out in the fields.
Nice.
I scanned the ponds with my binoculars and couldn't see any. But
old eagle eye couldn't find the frog.
I've never been a great frogger. Like I don't go getting the.
You gotta have the flashlight on the chin. Yeah. That's the secret. And you gotta roll it. If you don't roll
that
it
again,
roll it.
Who taught that?
That was that was Rob's buddy.
Tom?
Tom. It was Tom.
Oh, okay.
That was Tom. That was like one of the first things I think.
Oh,
Tom,
that's right. He did do that. Yeah, he's the man when it comes to amphibians in the wild.
That's what I heard. That's why I always it stuck with me. Flashlight,
that's cool.
Roll it.
Yeah.
Roll it. Look for the eye shine.
It was daylight, so that wouldn't have helped me much. But it was good thought. Good
technique.
Thought.
It's about the technique.
Yeah. My cousin made some sweet fajitas one night, so that was good. Yeah, the night that it wasn't snowing or raining on us. So we
sweet fajitas. That's a bold statement for a man that knows a man that lives in Southern California.
Oh, that's true. You've never made fajitas for me though, so
that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. I never have.
It's hard to compare.
I took you to a restaurant where they made fajitas.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I didn't get them, but I saw somebody getting some.
Yeah,
but still, again, a little hard to compare.
No, I'm just saying, like like
that taco shop we hit on the way up to. Yeah, that reminds me. I think I'm coming down on the way to Arizona. I'm going to come down, hit your area, so we got to go herp together.
Hell yeah!
Does that sound like a plan?
Yes, it does.
Okay, yes, I want to see some more Kyanactus. So
I've been working like an idiot at work, so I'm down to get away. And
you're ready for
yes.
Even if it's just for an evening, I guess you could stick around herp for a couple more nights.
I mean,
on your own.
A night with the doctor is worth a lifetime of memories.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that'd be fun. That'd be really cool. So, I mean, it adds like 6 hours to the drive, but hey.
Dude, it's me.
Yeah, it's worth it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's the desert.
It's all worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that sounds like something we should do.
Okay. Done.
That's, coming up pretty quick here, another couple weeks.
Yeah.
I guess when this comes, who knows when this comes out?
Was that the first
one?
Yeah. Well, wait, do we have one in the pipe?
No, I think Ron's came out.
Yeah, it's out.
That's I feel bad. We kind of delayed him.
I know, man.
Great episode.
I know.
Really killer. That darn anniversary just came up, and we had to do our little quiz show thing.
Yeah.
Got some nice comments about it. I think people enjoyed it.
It was good. I mean, I think, I got to be honest with you and the rest of the NPR world. When Justin said, I think we should do a quiz show, I said, I think that's a horrible idea. But I am man enough to admit when I am wrong. And, sir, I was wrong. My hat's off to you. It was amazing. I had a really good time, and
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It
was
really
nice
cool
to get the involvement too.
Yeah,
I mean, we had a full 10 folks.
Yeah,
competing on the quiz, and
we had more than 10 folks. We only had room for 10 folks, but I mean, it was.
You're always worried that not enough people are going to show up to fill the 10 slots.
Yeah,
so I was just happy to see those 10 slots fill, and congrats again to Andy Middleton.
We got
winning that.
Yeah, Andy, dude.
Yeah.
The Mac and Wookie's in the mail. Okay, just
yeah.
Hold tight.
I got to make
us.
it this weekend.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
Yeah.
So
it's a custom job, man.
Sure.
We
I found out its size though, so we're gonna
get
that done soon. Get it shipped out. Hopefully, you'll have it by the time this comes out, but we'll see.
Perfect. Yeah,
yeah. I'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw the intellectual Mac and Wookie this week. I saw that. I was really impressed.
That was really
how did the intellectual Mac and Wookie get the early release of the book though? That's what I want to know.
I'm sure.
What do I got to do? What do I got to do to get in on that Mac and Wookie action of the early release of the Carpet Python book?
Well, just like the fabled Mac and Wookie, they're very difficult to find. Apparently so. We still haven't found the blue line. I wasn't going to mention it because I'm still like, it's never going to come. I don't know.
It'll be here. It'll be here.
I think there's just delays with everything. Everything's delayed, and all it's just I'm sick of waiting. But so I'm not thinking about it. I'm just waiting.
All right, so
I'm not waiting.
You are waiting. You're definitely waiting. We're all waiting.
Yeah. But I'm excited for it. And thinking about a quiz show, it might be fun to have another one to give away a book or something.
I'm down for that.
Looking for an excuse to have another quiz show.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to have a carpet spectacular type, carpet centric quiz show.
Ooh.
Ask them stuff about stuff in the book, or I don't know. That'd be cool. So yeah, maybe we can be talked into that one. But I kind of liked having the quiz show. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. Yeah. And back to Ron St. Pierre. My man. Yeah. What a dude, right? Yeah. Like, just
he's the best.
Yeah, he's cool. The best.
It's good to hear that come out.
Yeah, he embodies all of that I love in old herp, not old, but old school herp guys. Sorry, Ron, you're not old. You're a young man. And it's just, he's got, great stories, just great experience. Like, he just, one of those guys you could just talk to forever, and it's just fun and so cool. So
we got to plan that trip.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I know. I'm going. I was like, fucking, we're done. Yeah. And I'm hurting with Ron. If you're not coming, you're assed out, dude. Like, I'm going. So
let's plan a trip.
I'm super excited for that. Yeah,
it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Fight Club hits to Florida. So
yeah. I like that idea. I think that'd be good. I've done a little bit in Florida, but it was just kind of with coworkers or with my wife, and not really intense herping. I didn't know where to go. I just kind of went to the Everglades or near the Everglades and cruised some roads that looked decent. We did see, a bunch of alligators and a few snakes, a rat snake, and some other. It's been a little while since I was there, like 2010 or 2009, something like that. But cool to see gators in the natural environment, and we saw a couple DOR Burmese pythons. So and that was about all we saw one night when I went out with my coworkers.
Was DOR Burmese pythons?
Yeah.
Were they like
a big old
babies?
DOR gator in the road? That was kind of crazy.
I don't know if that
smaller ones.
I don't know if I'd want to run over. I mean, not that I would want to run over. I'm just saying, man, that could be horrible.
That's a
that would be an accident. That might be an accident you don't walk away from.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see him in that state.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was listening to Snakes and Stogies, and Phil was talking about the gator hunt and stuff like that. Is they've widened the season. I guess that's a good sign that they're doing well, and kind of made their recovery. And but they extended that into the daytime, so you can hunt gators in the day rather than just at night. But I don't know. Maybe we have to have a fight club on that one of these days.
Yeah,
hunting reptiles or the skin trade or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. I mean, I think, it's hard, man. I think people's heartstrings get in the way of that sometimes, and they don't really realize what they're saying when, hunting deer is a primary means of managing their population because they're so out of whack. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll save that for another another Fight Club.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
and it's unfortunately also in Florida that legislation passed.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a bummer.
Yeah,
I know.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's, I guess, all the reason to continue, and or if you haven't, to support our helpers there.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on the name? Gosh dang it. It's been a long week. Yeah, my brain is broken. Yeah. Help me out.
USARK?
USARK. Thank you.
I was like, does he can't not remember USARK? No, he really doesn't. He has no, he's, oh my God, it's happening. All right. I'm just going to hang back here a second and let it happen. All right, here we go. USARK. Yes, that's right. Yeah, absolutely, man. We need to, it's not good.
Yeah, that
it's
Florida,
just not good, man. It's not good.
I'll be curious to see how that affects the pet trade and the keeping and things in Florida. It's too bad.
And I think Ron laid it out really well about how, where a lot of that came from, and just the fact that, it's not a short term, it's not something that just happened. It's happened a while back, and it's, it's the cat's out of the bag. The train's left the station. The bystander has gone under the bus.
Fighting it on the other side is always more difficult. So sure. I guess
but I mean, it's political opportunism. It's government, it's government finances meets opportunism. It just sucks, man. It's, we got wrapped up in some bullshit.
Yep. So I guess keep the fight up. There's always some kind of proposed legislation that we can, have an impact on, and let your voice be heard, and make sure that you don't just sit on your hands. You do something about these things. So
yeah.
Yep. We need to try. Oh, what's your dog got to say about that?
She's just pissed off that Florida.
I'm sure she remembers USARK.
Yeah. She's just mad at the derpy hurt politicians in Florida.
All righty. Well,
hey man, take your jacket off. Stay a while. I feel like you're getting ready to run. Is it cold in your house? Are you
staying warm down here? Yeah, I
got you.
The down jacket on.
Just tell the Southern California guy to shut the hell up. Then
I could slip inside my incubator.
There you go.
A bit. Yeah, I have a heater down here, but I turned it off because I thought it's too warm. It's I'm not going to need this anymore, and then that's when you need it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But the herp room was getting hot. I was almost ready to turn on the air conditioner, and then we dipped down into the 40s, like down in the 30s.
Speaking of herp rooms, how's snakes? How's
good? I've had my first hatchlings. Got some womas on, out of the egg. Just two. The majority of that clutch kind of crashed about a week into incubation, but the two eggs that made it look great. They look really nice. They're it's a pair, so male and female. So yeah, I'm happy about that. Just got to get those guys feeding.
Did Lucas already contact you about them, or
no? Not yet. I haven't really. Well, I guess I put up a picture of them, but I need to get them feeding, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
but
of course.
The blackheads should be next. I looked in there. The eggs are kind of sinking in a little. It's looking like we're moving in the right direction. Hopefully we see some heads coming out of eggs soon. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about if they don't, but
no,
yeah,
we won't, because they will.
Yeah, they're coming out.
Positive thoughts.
They're getting really close.
I know. This
is the best chance.
I know the entire Fight Club organization is pulling for this.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That'll be nice to check that one off, and hopefully, have more chances down the road. But yeah, this is a good year to have that happen. I suppose I guess I maybe said too much there. but we'll see. Yeah, it's that'll be nice to see some little baby blackheads if that occurs. I guess I'm not counting my hatchlings yet, but
there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
How about you? You got stuff going?
Yeah, I mean, I think my season's pretty much done. No more eggs coming. Just I've got still got gecko eggs that are incubating and just kind of feeding stuff up and trying to get babies going and move some stuff out and kind of not nothing new really. So
yeah,
kind of in my slog.
My daughter got some banded gecko eggs.
What?
They crashed pretty shortly after they were laid, so kind of a bummer. But that's the nice thing about geckos is you get another chance in another 30 days. So
that's true.
I said write down those dates and set your watch. I think we need to put in a nesting box. We had a nesting box in there, but it was too small. I think one of the females lost her tail in the nest box.
Huh.
I'm not quite sure how that happened, but maybe it was too narrow and she trying to turn around or trying to back into the burrow to lay her eggs or something and lost her tail. So I felt really bad about that one. So I think a bigger nesting box will probably help that out.
It's all fun and games until you Eeyore that shit.
Yeah. So poor gal, but yeah. My daughter was pretty sad.
I was just gonna say, how'd she do with that? Like, what was it? Just the eggs were, not did they?
No, they were great. We caught them right as they were laid, like right out of the female. Like they were still kind of,
hot off the presses.
Yeah, exactly. So we couldn't have, caught them at a better time, and then maybe just infertile, or I don't know, but I got them in the incubator.
Well, it was the first set of eggs, so yeah. Okay.
Who knows? So we'll see what happens, but yeah, she's enjoying them and doing a good job with them. So I hope she gets another chance and gets some good eggs and get some hatchlings out of that. That'd be really cool.
Me too, man.
Pretty excited about it. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, just, since we recorded last, I got another clutch of inland eggs. So
good gravy, man.
That. I don't know. Maybe that
I don't think
that's clutch number 2. So I only have 2 clutches. Maybe we talked about it on the show, the quiz show.
Yeah, maybe we did.
Yeah.
Maybe we did. Yeah.
And I spaced off a lot of things on that quiz show, like we were going to talk about beforehand, and like I just.
Oh, I know. Well, I think I teased you about not having enough foreplay. We went right into you were just excited. It was like you had your quiz show. You saw you were focused and poised but the quiz show went over great. So, I don't blame you.
It was fun.
I don't blame you for going right to the quiz show.
Yeah. Well, should we get into our debate of the night?
The fight of the night?
Fight about something?
Yeah, man. It's been a while. Right. I feel like I haven't matched wits. Not that I really match wits with you. I kind of, like in Star Wars, when Darth Vader and Obi-Wan are fighting and Obi-Wan's lightsaber is kind of fizzling out, right before Darth Vader cuts him in half and all his chonies fall to the floor. That's kind of how it happens with us.
Oh, God. I'm
just chonies on the floor by the end of the show.
Well, this was a suggestion from Dominic Carbonneau. He suggested we fight about whether or not females should be bred in back-to-back years. So that was a cool topic.
It is a cool topic.
We'll give it our best, see what we can do with this one. So we'll do our coin toss, see if Chuck's luck has run out or if he can continue to dominate. You've missed the last couple.
The last two. Well, so Frank or not Frank. Ron was the second one of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I think so.
I don't know, man. I'm shook, dude. I'm shook.
Okay.
All right.
You ready?
That's tails.
It's heads.
What the shit?
Oh,
what
man.
The shit?
Your luck has run out, my friend. You just dominated. I guess it's 50-50, man. You can only get so many in a row.
Yeah, but I was hitting 50-50 100% of the time.
I'm in your head, man. I'm in your head.
Oh man.
Well,
I'm back to I suck, Chuck. What the fuck? God damn it.
Oh boy. All right.
Well, I guess
don't
pick a side.
up too bad. I think I'll go with, I don't know. What do I think, sure. You should be able to breed females back to back. I'm going to go with that one. So I'll let you lead off with why you shouldn't breed, or why we shouldn't do that.
I mean, that's easy. I think, can you do it? Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Should you do it? I think is the bigger question. It's a question that's more of like risk versus reward. And, and I also think that it would depend. I think, I'm going to maybe make a correlation and maybe some assumptions and say like that person who, it's maybe their first time breeding their carpet or their snake or whatever. Or even their maybe monitors. I'll leave that out because that's not a very good example. But
back to back months.
Yeah, exactly. But so let's say you've got a carpet python and you're just getting it up to breeding size, and you breed it 1 year, and then you just get eggs and you have success and good job, and you're totally jacked and you're totally pumped, and you just dude, I'm reloading, I'm gonna feed it up and I'm gonna do it again. And I think that potentially could be bad because you have a young animal that's still growing, it's still maturing, it's not quite adult size maybe yet, and I think reproductive events are pretty taxing on animals, and so maybe when it's young, giving it that year off, especially the first time it breeds, might not be a bad idea. I think you can do it back to back, but I think when you do back to back reproductive events, it's really stressful on the animal. And I'm not going to say that I haven't done it, and I'm not saying I won't do it. I just think that you have to be very, very keen on what you're doing if you're going to do it. And I think if you're, you haven't had the animals a while, that you're not comfortable with it, that you're potentially asking for trouble. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I can see that, I suppose, but I think you hit on a couple things that kind of are the key part of this is one, they're in captivity, so they get more energy and nutrients and things like that than they would in the wild. They probably have to work a lot less for those things, and so they can regain their energy reserves and things like that pretty easily in captivity. And so and most often, especially people like you, just want to yank those eggs away, and so they don't have to, especially with pythons, they don't have to sit on their eggs for 2 months, and so they can make those energy stores back pretty easily. So, in a captive setting, especially, depending on the species, like I would say Antaresia do great at laying eggs every year, and they can regain that energy reserve pretty quickly. And so I don't see many problems. I've got some females that are probably going on a decade of, year after year reproduction. And, I mean, in the wild, would they, if they could, if they can. And I would say on good years, if they have subsequent good years, they probably will reproduce. If they can, reach that threshold that kind of tells their body to go for it. I have seen, like in some of my captive animals, just because you pair them doesn't necessarily mean they're going to breed. So if they're not ready and their body isn't saying it's time to go, then they probably won't lay eggs anyway. So, it's
she didn't like that, Justin.
Me off with your dog.
She didn't like that.
Yeah. That's kind of cheating there, man.
Listen, it's not me, dude. She's got to listen to you too.
So I definitely think, captivity, if if as long as you're supporting your animals, I don't think it's necessarily that it's not going to negatively impact them as long as they're being fed, enough to reproduce and they're being supported in the ways they need. And so I say, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I mean, I think you can do it. I think that, in your case, you cited your Antaresia going back to back to back to back to back. I think that can be done. I think, you got to have optimum conditions though. I mean, you need to be heating them correctly and feeding them. I don't have the, necessarily the expertise to comment on it, but I wonder about, calcium absorption and nutrient uptake, like just because we eat a balanced diet and we take our vitamins, only a fraction of that, of that vitamin is actually absorbed in every meal or any vitamin supplement we take. So, you can still take vitamins and be vitamin deficient, right? That's a possibility. So,
yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
and there's other factors to that, like every individual is a little different, and I would make the same argument that every animal is a little bit different.
Sure.
Nobody's body is built the same. As whole prey, snakes are whole prey consumers, and they get pretty much a balanced, protein and vitamin, uptake from their food. So I'm not saying this whole shot as like, oh no, you could, feed them and they just become deficient. But oh my goodness.
See, now you're talking crap there.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I think, definitely back-to-back reproduction can take its toll on an animal, and animals that are getting older, they're often going to look worn out anyway. But like you said, it depends on the species too. I mean, if you're not breeding your chameleons back-to-back, they're probably going to die. You need to have that outlet for them. And I need to be able to do that.
As I said, like I'm leaving monitors out of it. I would say I'd leave chameleons out of it. Yeah,
breed several clutches a year.
Yeah.
So maybe lizards aren't the best species or group to kind of discuss. But I mean, obviously there's some like shingleback skinks. Do you breed your shingleback skinks every year?
I think you have to.
One baby.
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean,
well, if I were you, I would say you probably don't breed those back to back just because they put so much energy. I mean, the babies come out, half the size of the adults, and the adults are not small animals, they're good sized babies. So that takes a lot of effort. And then the female carries those babies for quite a while, and, with the live birth and stuff. So, I mean, it's, obviously from a herpetoculturalist view of, breeding and selling animals, you could definitely make more money if you're going to breed them subsequent years. Mm-hmm. You'll get more notoriety if you're Chuck and you're breeding your Halmahera, your Halmahera scrub pythons in subsequent back-to-back years.
Sore subject. Thanks, Justin.
No, you've done that already. So
I know, but I didn't.
But I did. Well, you changed something. Now you got to wait another 5 years.
Right? You're right. That's what I'm scared of. Oh my God. Yeah. What have I done?
You've got established groups and they know each other. So I'm hoping that they'll figure it out a little quicker the second time around, I guess, with some minor changes.
I've been talking my sexy shit to them. So hopefully, hopefully we get back on track. So.
But it's definitely, and of course that has two sides. So maybe I'll let you take the other side on that argument of, breeding animals for captivity. We don't want to turn into puppy mills, that kind of thing. You don't want to just be pumping out eggs and babies because you can, and you have no outlet for them or something. So there's definitely the other side of that too.
Yeah. And I think thanks, Justin. On that, I do think that, giving him a year off is and I kind of feel like, okay, Tracy A bred that first year, female looks good, rare opportunity, things seem to be hitting, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
If I had the, in giant air quotes, formula for Tracy A, and I could do it year after year, would I just go, relentless for the throat for clutch after clutch after clutch? No way. I wouldn't do it, and I think there's, I think again, it goes back to that, Shine golden spoon hypothesis about, how you want to distribute the reproductive life of that animal out. And, I think you can get 10 clutches in a row, or you can get 10 clutches throughout the life of that animal. I think it'll do both. How long that animal lives, if you do 10 clutches in a row into its geriatric years, does that affect it? I mean,
it could. I mean, obviously, reproduction takes a bigger toll on some snakes more than others. But I think what Shine kind of demonstrated was that animals that do have those nutrients and have the good feeding years, or the years of plenty, those are the ones that live longer, have more offspring, and grow faster than their counterparts. And so I don't think that's I don't know that that's necessarily a true statement, that you can either have 10 clutches in a row or 10 clutches over the life of the animal. I think, if these animals are raised appropriately and have, a year of plenty, when they start out, they may be able to go 20 years in a row. Who knows? I don't know that we've identified that, or the jury's still out, or the research is still needed on that.
That's
especially
fair.
Regarding animals in the wild. I think they probably collected a good decade worth of information on that population of water pythons.
And that's
how they kind of made those observations, right? So.
Look, I'm not going to say that that's not a very complete study, and that it didn't, garner really just fantastic, conclusions. But
that was a killer study.
Yeah, definitely.
A long-term study. 7
probably
years
one of the best reptile studies you could do, right?
And really interesting information.
Yeah.
And again, it's water pythons,
right?
That may not be broadly applicable, because we have, and here I am going, handing you more argument pieces on your side, but the research into green tree pythons, and Daniel Natusch's papers and Wilson's papers, and some of the other researchers that have looked at green tree pythons have shown that they may only reproduce every third year or fourth year, and they may be more resource limited. So that might go kind of to my point that, if you've got the resources, maybe you'd be able to. But then captivity doesn't really bear that out, because it seems like female green tree pythons like to die pretty readily in captivity.
And I mean, I think you're also talking about two different things here, because you're talking about captive pythons, pythons that are reproducing in captivity, versus wild caught python or wild pythons which are, very much more resource dependent, and I could see that in wild pythons, their resource level access dictates their reproductive. I mean, that's exactly what Shine is saying. And some of the things that bore out of that of resource of plenty brings, a lot of the fruits of that out for those snakes. Sure, I get that. That makes sense. And that all makes sense to me. And I guess, what does that mean in captivity? Does that even mean anything in captivity?
I mean, it is very complex. And I think one of our failings in herpetoculture is that we try to minimize how much space we keep these things in. We try to find the smallest cage that they can do, the minimum amount of well in, instead of going the other way. Now in nature, they've got access to all sorts of choices and different places they can, thermoregulate. They can go into cooler spots to totally shut down and conserve energy when the time comes. So, I mean, when we stick them in a 2 foot by 2 foot cube, 2 by 2 by 2 foot cube, and we, have a 90-degree, heat spot, and that's on pretty much all year round, we're not really giving them those opportunities to conserve energy when they need to.
Sure.
And so, I'm not suggesting that every snake needs like a room size enclosure with every, range of.
I also think
I think there is a middle ground where we can kind of select what, give them the chance to make those choices.
Yeah.
And I would say for a majority of at least the python species that we keep, especially if you're taking the eggs and artificially incubating them, you could easily have snakes that go multiple years breeding and with no ill effects.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what the mechanism behind like boob eggs or partially shelled eggs are. I would assume it's because the female couldn't fully shell the egg, and so to me that indicates a calcium deficiency or a lack of calcium. And so, when I see funny eggs, I'm kind of like, all right, is this female getting enough, nutrients to be doing what she's doing? Am I feeding enough? Am I feeding, does necessarily feeding more equal, proper, the proper amount of nutrients that she needs, or am I just throwing too much fat at her? Like, so it's like, how you're feeding, what you're feeding. I do think it's pretty complicated. And then, like you had said, when you throw in there the fact that you're keeping them in a 2 cubed environment, and you got the jerky heater on there, there's a lot of, there's a lot of other factors that can go into it. And
we don't know if it's hydration or if it's temperature spikes or, the temperature dips. It's really hard to say with some of those things, and we just kind of get them and scratch our heads and move on, but there's been no studies to study those kind of.
Well, and I also think,
extremes.
Sure. Yeah. But I think when we talk about choices, what we're talking about is choices within a narrow range, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
to some extent.
I mean, if we were going to give choices, they should be able to get, be able to really warm up or get really cool if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And that would be, and then you could say, no, I give choices. Where if you're like, I give a 10-degree swing. Well, maybe that 10-degree swing is good, but maybe that's not,
maybe the swing is within their ideal area.
Yes.
You don't want to be shoveling snow, like Terry says. We don't want to shovel snow into our cages because they have snow in the wild.
Sure,
but we also
between 85, between 85 degrees and snow, there's a lot of room.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, sometimes they can get really hot. I just finished up my cage for my Gurnia depressa, this pygmy spiny-tailed skinks, and it's more vertically oriented because in the wild they're living in trees. And I came up with a pretty cool idea. I guess it's maybe not original, but it's kind of like a reed stack on its side where it mimics kind of cracks in tree limbs. Mm-hmm. So basically I just took, I sliced up a tree limb and then put spacers in between. So there's gaps. And so they can kind of go vertically in wedge inside there. So I was kind of excited.
So they're like vertical wood limb cracks.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Exactly. So it looks kind of cool, and it's kind of a fun idea. So I'm hoping that will help them thermoregulate, on that vertical plane.
Yeah.
But I went in the other day, and man, it was a little warm in the room, and the hot spot was like at 100 and 110, and the cool spot was like at 85. I'm like, that's a little warm for the cool side, but they were down in the cool spot. So apparently right at that time, but I have a little video camera, like a remote camera set on them, so I can watch them during the day. And first thing in the morning, they'll come out and sit right in that 110, 120 basking spot to start the day off. And then they'll hang out under those warmer temps. So, giving them that option, and granted it's been colder at night, so they probably want to get to that heat first thing when lights come on. So, but it is fun to watch them kind of make those choices and have those choices in as well as we can give them. But
yeah. I mean, I think I just, this is a hard one for me to argue, because I really don't think there's anything wrong with back-to-back clutch and snakes. And I think if you're really doing your shit right, but they're good. You know what I mean? Like, you can, I think you look at it with people. I mean, you talk about shingleback skinks being like all the eggs in one basket type of a reproductive strategy, just like humans. I mean, humans in their reproductive prime, they'll go year after year after year. I mean, you'll be blown out. I mean, it will be a rough, after year. I mean, that's probably the hardest thing on a female is reproductive events, but then again, that's the whole goal, right? To pass on their genes and to propagate their species. And maybe to your credit, and this is probably anthropomorphism to a point, but I think it illustrates what I'm saying is, maybe those younger water pythons that do back-to-back, reproductive events, just like younger women tend to bounce back from pregnancies, as they get older, it's a little bit harder, just because your body changes after you start having kids. And I think the resiliency is definitely, slanted towards the earlier years of reproduction. I think that's true in humans. I think that's true in all animals, really. I mean, you're primed for reproduction when you're younger.
So, and I've got a female pygmy python that's going on. Oh, she's probably close to 20 years now. I think she hatched in 2005.
Nice.
And she's probably laid the majority of pygmy python eggs that I've had in my, collection. And she's, taken a few years off here and there, but for the most part, she's bred most of those
rock solid,
years. Yeah. Since she was at least since she was in my hands. I got her, after she was an adult, but she's done very well and produced a lot of pygmy pythons maybe out there. She's done, I would reemphasize that too, that, depending on the species, of course, these smaller pythons are meant to have more offspring maybe than the larger one, and probably faster. They'll reproduce sooner, a couple of years after they hatch, in a good year potentially, and get those offspring out there because they're prey for other things. They're small. So, whereas a large python like a diamond or an Owen Pelly or something, they're not going to reproduce until they're 6-7 years old, and probably not every year. And, they're more mesic level predators. And so they need to kind of, you overwhelm or you have too many offspring, and then you got competition. So I guess when they're smaller, they're prey, but
and I mean, I guess, the way I kind of think about it too, in captivity and maybe if you're, I guess it depends on like what type of a breeder you are, or what, at what kind of level you're at. I would get why, you or maybe Nick or, somebody who does it like prime time once every single year I want it. But, for me, maybe every other year, like where
I'm sitting.
where I can raise up that last year, see what they look like, like I'm not in a hurry to move snakes out, and I can, make choices about what directions, and especially with carpet pythons where, you don't necessarily have a great idea. I mean, you can get an idea, but you don't, you need a year, at least a year before you're kind of like, okay, I got what I'm looking at here now.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Just because you can breed them back to back, should you, make sure you can handle it. Like, we've got full-time jobs, we've got families, we've got, things that take our time. And so we don't have time to be, if I bred all my Antaresia, I'd probably go insane.
Yeah.
And probably to the detriment of the animals. So I need to plan out, okay, I'm going to breed this pair this year. And
I think that, having that steady, slow release into the market, where you're not just over pulsing the market with one type of species. Like, it's great. Yeah. Like Ron was saying, like, if I wanted to, crush lace monitors, I could fill my building and I could just crank out lace monitors. But, that's not good. That isn't ultimately good for lace monitors in the long run. Right.
Yeah.
Just because you can produce a ton of something doesn't mean it's a good idea to produce a ton of something. So, maybe giving that female that year off or 2 years in between or whatever, however you want to do that. And, letting those babies grow up, finding good homes for those babies, use that time rather than focusing on, running those females ragged, trying to reproduce. Use that time to find good homes for those animals, to pick your future of your projects, to do things that around, things that are really going to benefit you as a breeder, rather than just how much can I absolutely pump out in 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a wise course of action.
Yeah.
Don't get in over your head, because it's detrimental to the animals, and that's kind of what we need to be primarily focused on.
I mean, it does feel good to like crush it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I get why people are like, I crushing it this year. This is awesome. I understand that, but like, if you've crushed it, you also know how, like, oh crap, like, this is too much. Like, you got to sit on tons of animals. You got to feed those animals, like, what's right. Do you do the feed them once every blue moon and, I don't feed my animals a ton, or do you throw tons of resource at them and food and you try to breed them up? And, it's kind of like, it's kind of weird that if you want to breed your animal every year, right, and make all these babies, but then all the babies you sit around and hardly ever feed them. Does that make any sense? That doesn't make any sense. Like, you're kind of arguing for one side of the shine golden spoon hypothesis, and then practicing the other once you get the reproduction. It's kind of like, no, you gotta be on one side of the fence or the other, man.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I mean, I'm guilty that I just sold a pair of Bredli that I produced a couple of years ago that were still, not where they could be.
Sure.
But, they're kind of maintenance fed and very small for their age, in some people's eyes, I guess. I don't know how they would compare to wild ones, probably still a little small.
Well, and that's such a subjective thing though, too, dude. You know, I mean, I think most people would look at my Tracier and be like, whoa, they're kind of small, like for what I would see, for what I've seen, how a lot of people feed, I mean, I think people think scrubs are big, big animals, and
why do you get a scrub if you're not going to get it up to 20 feet?
I mean, like, 2 years old and 8 feet, right? That's how it should be, 3 years old, 8 feet. Like, no, man, my animals are, not anywhere even reasonably close to that. So, I guess, and tell me I'm wrong for doing what I'm doing. Tell me, I dare you. I freaking dare you. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of like, and there's, Nick's breeding tiny carpets, you know what I mean? But he's breeding them. So it's like, is he wrong? Like, is that, like what's I don't know. I think some of that's opinion, like, but Casey's point when, during that feeding, between him and Nick, like, I mean, he made some great points there too, so, I mean,
I mean, if I'm going to raise something up to breed and I want, I'm going to feed it more than the other animals that I'm,
I agree with that. I think there is a point where we all got fed this idea that feeding pythons is a bad idea, or that it leads to negative outcomes. And I don't think that's true. I don't think we've
not with juveniles. Yeah, I don't think that's true at all with juveniles. With adults, sure.
Most
definitely.
But, and you see that, but I feel like flounders. But I feel like you see that before it happens, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like somebody's like, "Yeah, check out my jungle carpet," and you're like, "Holy shit, that thing's fat as fuck!" Like that's not good, and you know that they didn't know that was bad. But if they did, they could have stopped it way before it got to that point. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so
I've seen, pictures of animals in the wild that look huge, that look like an obese, captive animal. But now the composition of that animal is probably a lot more lean muscle than fat. They're probably getting by on, little, but the frequency of those items may be more so they can gain some bulk
and their ability for locomotion is much greater. Their ability to burn off those calories that they're taking in.
That's one thing I never like. I still don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence on or trying to figure out, but do pythons, I mean, they're built to sit.
Yeah.
And wait.
No, I agree with you. And I think the jury's out on whether,
they don't move a lot. They're not a coach whip that's moving around and hunting their prey.
I agree actively, with that. I guess what I'm saying is their potential, in a wide open space to be very mobile and be very active is there. Mm-hmm. Whether that's how they actually behave, that's
whether or not that contributes to their body plan, that's the question I have, I guess. And I don't know, I guess maybe the arboreal pythons might move a lot more, pythons and boas, and the arboreal ones tend to be a lot thinner bodied. And, is that because they're moving up and down trees, or if it's because they get bulky, they don't get up and down the trees, which came first, the chicken?
Well, and I mean, I guess I would imagine that if males are fighting for the competition of females and you got to travel for that, the fat, lazy male probably doesn't fare as well as the mobile, athletic.
But the big, hefty male is going to be a much better fighter potentially,
and that's fair. And so I guess and
you see that with species like imbricata, the Southwest carpet pythons. In some populations, the males are actually absolutely tiny. The females are eating small wallabies. The males are eating mice. And they're 20-fold smaller than the females, but they don't combat. They just kind of wait their turn for that giant female to breed her or whatnot. But you see the ones that do combat and have scars and things like that, some of the coastal carpets and some of the Darwins and things like that. The males can get absolutely huge and look, very impressive. Now, does that mean that a smaller male is not going to slip in and out quickly because he's more agile and small? That's still a strategy. That's still a reproductive strategy. For sure. That's all kind of, it all works out for individuals. And, you got the rock, paper, scissors strategy of the different, the side blotched lizards and the different colors and things. So, there's different nuances. It's not just the biggest male wins and gets the females, but he may be able to fight off other males and keep them at bay while he, breeds the female multiple times. And maybe a smaller one slips in when he moves out to go hunt or something, but those kind of things. It's more complex than just just feed in this many and they can breed every year. There's more that may go into it. And whether or not exercise really fits that, I don't know. I would tend to think for an ambush predator, it's probably not as important. They don't need to go out and lift weights and things like that to maintain their tone. But I imagine if they eat a bunch of fatty, retired breeder rats, they might have some negative impacts on their body plan,
Sure.
So,
well, and again, I think it goes back to, conflating what wild snakes do with what, snakes in a box do. And clearly snakes in a box do not get, I think we can agree that snakes in the wild get more exercise or are probably more active than snakes in a cage. I think that's probably a pretty safe. Yeah, I mean the logic and the potential is definitely there, right?
Now I thought that about mice, like lab mice versus wild mice, right? And so we had a study where we were trying to measure if mice born to
don't you bring your science into this
we were looking at pups born to dams that were infected with West Nile, so they were exposed to West Nile in utero, and whether and when they came out they looked really hyperactive. They were always moving and kind of crazy and stuff, and so we thought, oh, maybe exposure to this virus in the womb causes them to be hyperactive, or that causes them to be more energetic, or some weird thing, so we put in some spinning wheels, the wheels that the mice run on, and it would count with every rotation. And so we'd put a mouse in there for the night, so it was the only one in the cage, and see how far it would run. How far do you think a lab mouse runs in a night? What's your guess? Like 5 miles. Like, it was shocking.
5 miles?
5 miles. And the ones that were kind of hyperactive ran less on the wheel. They didn't go as far as the normal controls that were born to uninfected dams. And so it was like 5 miles these little lab mice are running.
So
now, if you
West
compare,
Nile mice are sprinters, and every other mouse is on the cross country fucking
or
team.
They're like, oh, what's that? Oh, I got to get off the wheel. And they get distracted.
The ADD is the ADD.
Yeah, something like
West
that.
Nile causes ADD and lab mice.
That's where we don't make those kind of conclusions. But it was.
Look,
it was
you brought the science into this, man. I'm just commenting.
It was definitely surprising that a lazy, lab mouse can run 5 miles in a night.
That's pretty. That's a lot longer than I thought.
And that's in a lab cage that's no more than a foot long, and there's still that wheel gives them opportunity to run that far. So, I remember Ryan Young saying, like, there was that debate whether or not green tree pythons should be kept in tall, vertically oriented cages or horizontally oriented cages. And he's, took video or something of his green tree python overnight and watched how many times it did loops in the cage. It was moving pretty much constantly all night long. Cause he would say, if you don't feed it when it's begging every night, then they'll move around just like they do in the wild. Yeah. And so, even though they have kind of a limited area of movement, they can still move quite a bit in there if they're given the opportunity, if they have the surface area or the perches or whatever,
which lends some credibility to my statement that they probably move around quite a bit when they're in the wild.
Again, like, depending on the species.
Oh, now we're backing off again. Here
like we go. Blood python. Okay. How much is a blood python moving around? Okay. Yeah. It depends on the species. So green tree pythons, they move quite a bit. And, the papers have shown they're going up and down a 20-foot tree every day and night. And so, they're at least moving, 40 feet in a night or whatever. So if they're going up and down a 20-foot tree, so they're moving a lot more than, like, say, a blood python that just has to find a swampy little spot to sit there and be fat,
swampy wow.
You can see which ones I prefer.
Yeah. That was very,
those are boreal.
That was very judgy and
not those slug snakes, man. Sorry, Keith.
I feel like,
he's the master of those short tails and blood pythons. But anyway,
let's get pooped on.
Are we
spent? Have
we discussed it all?
Yeah.
We done discussing? Are we done fighting here?
I don't have much else in my unscientific repertoire to throw at this.
I think the main thing is, support your animals, be smart with your decisions regarding their breeding. Don't just breed them to breed them. Have a plan for those offspring, be able to house them, have enough caging to house all the offspring that you're producing, and be able to keep them for a year or two if they don't sell, and make your plans accordingly for the next breeding season. If you still got more than half your clutch, don't make another clutch until you get rid of that first clutch, and things go in waves. Some years things just fly off the shelves and people are clamoring for them, and other years they sit around for a while, so you got to be prepared to take care of those things. So that's kind of my finishing thoughts, I guess. You have anything else to add, or we?
No, I'm pretty good. I think, again, it's reading the animals, it's the conditions that they're in, it's taking the, it's not just the fortune cookie, it's the whole dinner. So, you got to take it all into account. So, and if you're doing it right, and all things are good, then there's absolutely no reason that you can't back to back a clutch, or snakes, back to back.
So you're saying I won. Thank you. That's nice of you.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job. Good job. Won the coin toss, won the fight. Good job.
I'm just a big winner.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Well, guess it's time to go shape some fake rocks, right? I'm working on some more naturalistic cages for my geckos and spiny-tailed skinks and stuff. It's been a lot of fun, so kind of happy with how they're turning out. The rock doesn't look as realistic as I'd hoped, but it's getting there. I'm getting a little better with practice.
Yeah. You're gonna have to do like a series of cages.
Demolition. Yeah, exactly.
Like your evolution of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the main thing is I want to have a uniform size, so I can run UV light over top of the cages, kind of a 4-foot UV over several cages. So see how that goes. But it's nice. It's fun to give them more usable area within the cage and stuff. So
totes.
See how that goes. Yeah, hopefully some of those Depressa will pop out of the mom. She's getting huge. So little balloon the other night. She looked like she was
I saw a picture. She is looking quite rotund.
Yep, and she's put on several, probably a good 12 grams. And so I'm hoping that's all baby weight. That'd be nice to
baby weight.
Babies of those. They're cool looking. So what a fun species. But yeah. And the tree skinks have been basking a lot, and they're looking pretty rotund as well. So
nice.
I don't know about the Hosmers. They don't look like they're gonna necessarily go anytime soon, but who knows? We'll see. I'm just trying to support them and keep them happy, and we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun to work with regardless of if they have babies or not. So I'm enjoying it. All right. Well, of course, big shout out to Morelia Pythons Radio.com. Go check them out, see the content. There's been some fun shows lately.
Yeah.
They got a lot of good stuff. Anything coming to mind lately?
They're pushing merch. They got stickers of all the podcasts.
Yeah.
Looks like
you get a Reptile Fight Club sticker.
Dude, I'm down.
Or a mug.
Yeah. I think I buy them out and just Reptile Fight Club shit all over fucking San Diego. We're gonna have like that people will think there is a whole underground Reptile Fight Club happening in San Diego by the time I'm done. So So there's that. I think Owen's trying to clear out his Rogue Reptile merch so he can transition into the Mac and Wookie merch. So I saw that he's like his stuff is a little bit cheaper than Owen's or Eric's, and I can only assume that is to make room for the new Mac and Wookie merch that I've heard is on the way. So I've heard he's embraced it. He's doing it, dude. I'm proud of him. I'm fucking proud of him.
We haven't licensed it to him. I mean,
I mean, if you are the Mac and
show,
Wookie, do you need to license your, like, you know
well,
what
he's
I
not
mean?
doing it. It's not Owen doing it.
I know that, but I feel like he could almost sue us for using his likeness. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Point. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You look at those pictures and tell me you can truly see Owen in there. It just happens to resemble him a little bit, right?
Oh, it happens to resemble him a lot.
We had shots fired on one of our friendly little podcasts here.
What?
They're gunning for us.
Who's
man.
talking shit?
The Australian Herpetoculture podcast.
What?
They're talking about how they're kicking our trash and they're the number one show. Well, maybe they weren't using those exact terms, but Steve Crawford was on there, my buddy. he was like kind of rubbing it in a little bit.
Wow.
So Steve, you're on the list, man. You better come on the show soon.
Yeah, ain't nobody come here. You want the smoke, at least come on the show and, you know, like
yeah. Then we can discuss.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly.
No, he did a really great episode of the Australian Herpetoculture podcast, and we're giving them some props. They do a good show.
They do a good show, and you know what? If anybody's gonna have the number one, we're glad it's them. There.
yeah, we'll be the bigger people, right?
We are the bigger people.
So, but yeah, I'm sure it's all in jest, but yeah, Steve that was pretty funny. He was making a little bit of snide comments about how they're beating us in the polls. That was in December, so we'll have to see what's going on. Currently,
I agree. I mean,
I have to hit up the Podfather and find out which podcast is second to NPR.
Yeah.
Get a little ammunition for those Aussies. And Steve's not even an Aussie. I guess he lives there, but he's an Englishman. He should be more proper. Drinking that tea. Pinkies up.
Crumpets.
Crumpets, Nipper. I want the crumpets. All right. Well, I guess, does that count as shots fired back? No, we gave them props.
That's about as shots fired as you get. You're pretty nice. You're a pretty nice guy, Justin. You're like, I'm going to talk shit, but I'm totally keeping it civil. You know what I mean?
It's all in good fun.
Of course.
Yeah. And they didn't mean anything by it.
What is a good ribbing amongst family members, right?
There you go. That's the best kind, right? Yeah. You have to have the love and the history to be able to.
That's right.
We're all in the same family. We're podcast siblings.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll throw a few jabs, but it's all good in the end.
Yeah.
We're all family. So now those guys on the other network, they don't have that guarantee.
I was just going to say,
you do a real throwdown.
If somebody else starts talking trash about someone in the family, you know what happens.
There you go.
You know what happens.
Yeah. Schmitty, you know what you've done.
Yeah. You might get a Schmeat down.
An intern. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. That came out in the Ron's episode. So I felt bad that we asked a question about it on the quiz show before anybody.
I know. I was like, and it didn't connect with me because I was like, it had happened and it should be out there. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, that's so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was all in good fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Even though there are number one rivals, check out the Australian Herpetoculture podcast. There's a lot of good podcasts coming up too. We got, it's about boas. Aptly named boas. I'm not much of a boa guy, so
I'm not either. I mean, I like rosy boas, but
I'll listen. I mean, there's some bright minds on that podcast,
That's fair.
I'll listen just because of the bright minds, even if I'm not really.
You're drawn to the intellectual fortitude.
That's right. But you're right. I mean, rosies are cool. I still need to find them though.
Man.
I'm waiting for the local guide of San Diego to show me where to find these things. So
me too, man. Me too. Shit. You're talking about me. Shit.
Local guide check. All right. Well, if anybody's still listening, thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys, and we're thankful for for everybody out there that's giving our podcast a chance, and for all the nice things people are saying. We really appreciate that. You guys rock. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being, supportive of the podcast. So guess with that, we'll say we'll catch you next week for another episode of Reptile Fight Club.
I declare, Justin, this episode's Fight Club wiener.
Fight Club.